Welcome to our workshop From Setting Up Energy Communities to Making Them Thrive. What are the tools available? This workshop will present tools developed by several EU-funded projects supporting energy communities. I'm your host, Marine, working for the IECP, the Institute for European Energy and Climate Policy, and supporting the BECoop project in all its communication activities, BECoop being a project you will hear from in a few moments. We'll have a keynote to start this event, Dimitris Tsekeris, followed by 3 moderators presenting several tools from 9 projects with 20 speakers in their sessions and as many tools. So as mentioned, we'll have a keynote, an introduction by Dimitris Tsekeris from Friends of the Earth Europe, who is also chair of the Community Power Coalition, and I'm very happy about this. And then our event will be split in 3 sessions. So basically we decided to follow the steps that someone would take when joining or developing an energy community. So first you would inform yourself, try to understand what is an energy community, if there are some around you, how to join one, etc. A second session will be testing the market, the ideas and technologies, while the last session will be on acting and people getting involved and growing the energy communities that already exist. So I hope you can stay until the end, but of course, please join the session that interests you. We might, of course, change the timings by 5 minutes more or less, depending on your questions. So I don't know if you see, yes, the next slide. So what we decided to follow is to have as a storytelling concept that we follow a character that we called Andrea, that is following the stages that I just mentioned. So you will see on the slides these 3 heads that you see at the bottom, coinciding with the stages that the tools are for. So first head means that they are rather for people who just want to know more about energy communities. The second head would be about, as I said, testing the technologies, etc. And the third head would be to grow the energy communities. On the right side, you can see also 2 buttons that you will see on most slides. That is if the tool is already available or not, and ready or not. So anyway, you will receive more information from the presenters. A few housekeeping rules. So normally you all have access to your microphones. Of course, I ask you to please keep them down until you have a question. In principle, we would rather have you ask questions. So you can see normally on the top of the slides an icon for Slido. And if you click on it, you will be able to see the polls that we will share. But also you have inside Slido a Q&A. So ask your questions there and you can vote for other people's questions so that they become, they are put on top basically, and we can answer them at the end of each session. The goal is to have you active. Please make sure that you ask questions, that you provide feedback, that you share ideas, etc. So I already mentioned Slido. If you don't see it, so you can see on the screen a screenshot. If you don't see it inside your Teams application, you can also log on slido.com and you have here the code that you should put. So 21 23 62. We'll have 3 questions across the event, so it's not a lot. Thanks, Daniel. Yes, because I always see this question appearing at some point. We will share the slides. We are recording this event and we will also share the recording. And what we are also doing that will for sure be helpful to all of you is develop a briefing where we will present very shortly all the tools that you will see in today's event with a short presentation of the projects as well. So you will have let's say a 3-pager after the event that you can not only have for yourself, but also share. So let's start. What I will do, I will be very shortly giving you some introduction about the project so that people can really focus on the tools and don't go deep into their projects. So we have, as I said, nine projects. I start with BECoop because, yeah, that's the benefit of being from BECoop. I'm leading communication and dissemination activities for this project, which is putting communities in charge of their local bioenergy production. BECoop will provide, so it's a project lasting from 2020 to 2023, and we will provide a set of tools and activities, and we are already doing it. You will see tools today, 4 tools today. So tools and activities that support bioenergy communities, so energy communities focusing on biomass. We have pilots in 4 countries and we focus on heating. You will see it's important because, yeah, most projects have different approaches all around energy communities. Next in line is eCREW. So you will see actually eCREW in the 3 sessions. So eCREW coordinates and supports the rollout of an innovative scheme of household cooperation in energy management, addressing community renewable energy webs, that's why eCREW, in which households jointly exploit household-level electricity generation, battery storage capacities, and optimize energy efficiency and expenditures. Next in line is Upstairs, and Upstairs will present their digital platform. Upstairs are they are basically setting up one-stop shops to support the setup of citizen energy communities or renewable energy communities, fostering energy efficiency measures carried out by end customers. W4RES, so Women for Renewables, are also presenting actions and activities in all sessions, measures, audits, and capacity building activities. W4RES is a project focusing on scaling up the involvement of women in the market deployment or uptake of renewable heating and cooling solutions. Next in line is ComRes. They will also present one platform today. Their goal is to increase the share of renewable energy in the electricity sector. The focus is put on advancing renewable energy communities in 9 countries. NEWCOMERS, they have 2 tools that they will show today. One is a handbook and the other one is a platform that you might know, Our Energy. NEWCOMERS is focusing on delivering practical recommendations on how the European Union, as well as national and local governments, can support new and clean energy communities, making them flourish and unfolding their benefits for citizens, as well as the European Union, Energy Union. So bear with me, only 3 projects left. We have next Decide, who is going to be presenting 2 tools, one hub and actually something also very exciting, a game. And Decide is focusing on gaining a better understanding of how energy communities and collective actions are established and managed. They want to identify the kind of communications and interactions that work best to encourage participation in energy communities for different stakeholders and individuals. Also very interesting. EC2, EC Square, is also going to present their academy, and they are interested in answering how does the setup of energy communities fosters or hinders energy citizenship. They are, like most projects, gathering evidence on this, deriving policy recommendations and a framework that would increase the benefits for both communities and citizens. And finally, POWERPOOR will present one toolkit. I'm also very happy to have POWERPOOR on board. They are one of the recent projects joining our group. They will design and develop support programs for energy poor citizens, encouraging the use of joint energy initiatives, leveraging financing schemes. So that's it for me. I'm actually right on time to give the floor to Dimitris, who will give you a keynote for the introduction of this event. So I stop presenting. I let Dimitris get his slide on from my colleague Lucia.
Good morning, everyone. Until the slides load and take over control. First of all, I would like to say congratulations on organizing this event. Extremely useful to be able to at least know the tools. My name is Dimitris Tsegeris, and I work as a climate justice and energy campaigner for Friends of the Earth Europe, and I'm also the coordinator of the European Community Power Coalition. For today's event, the first thing, before I start my presentation, I would like to say that we are in very difficult times at the moment with the energy crisis, climate crisis, the war in Ukraine. We have inequalities rising. We have multiple crises happening at the same time right now, and we need to find solutions that lead to a transformation, transformation in the ecological transformation, social transformation with social justice at the very core. So moving ahead, a few words about the European Community Power Coalition. We basically collaborate in order to promote the development of citizen and community ownership. It is a diverse network of more than 50 like-minded organizations across Europe, which comprises of energy cooperatives, cities and local authorities, renewable energy industry, legal experts, NGOs. We have a website that you can all visit and have a look, and feel free. I will have my contact details if someone would like to follow up with anything related with community energy and the Community Power Coalition. Yes, so a few words about what we do. Basically, there are three main fields of work. The main is, of course, the advocacy work, the communication, and the capacity building. So we collaborate in all those three different fields of work. One of the main aspects of our work that I will refer a bit more analytically afterwards is the transposition, full and timely transposition of the EU Clean Energy Package, and how to put people, communities, and local authorities at the heart of Europe's energy transformation. For this reason, we also publish relevant material in order to support this. A few words about our activities. So a lot of things have been happening. So I just made a selection of things that we have recently worked on. So letters to policymakers in order to express our views on different issues and matters like the taxonomy or the state aid guidelines or the gas citizen energy communities or the COP26 and so on. We keep updated the transposition tracker tool, which is basically a tracker that anyone can visit, an interactive map that you can find details about the member states and the state of play of your transposition for the Renewable Energy Directive and the Clean Energy Package related to community energy. We've been working with allies like RESCoops and Energy Cities to publish the book. I will refer a bit later to the book in more details. And of course, different briefings and so on that are useful in order for anyone to understand what is at stake and what are the most important issues right now that we are working on. Now, I would like to refer a bit about the acceptance and the role of energy communities and what is the perception at the moment in the EU level, at least according to the most recent polls. So the European Climate Foundation with YouGov, they made this poll in November or December, if I recall correct, in 10 European countries in order to better understand the public support for wind, solar, as well as energy communities. We have a really high percentage of Europeans support new wind and solar projects in their area. That is almost 86% in a European level. This, of course, fluctuates depending on different countries. And we can see also staggering 61% of Europeans that would be likely to join an energy cooperative if there was one in their local area. So energy communities seem to start becoming more and more intriguing and more interesting for people in order to be part of and take part in this energy transition. 79% again of Europeans want their governments to provide more financial support. So financial support, and this is something that we will analyze also in the challenges section, is a very important issue, as you can all imagine, because it's the way in order to realize the projects. Now, regarding the book, you can find in the Community Energy Guidebook, which comprises of 160 pages, many chapters, 26 chapters, many inspiring success stories, and a lot of resources with that are available for the reader in many languages. So far, there are more than 7 languages that this book is available, and everybody could start. And this is also related with what this workshop is trying to outline tools that are related with information sharing and issues that are related with inspiring and successful stories. Now, moving on to the main challenges, many people might be familiar with that. The most important issue right now that most of the member states are facing is the issue of the lack of transposition of the Renewable Energy Directive, more specifically the Article 22, in order to have enabling frameworks in the EU level. We also have the RED III coming up in September, as we expect, and the issue, one of the main problems, is the financial capital, the access to financial capital, and in general funding resources. Of course, there is a tendency lately about bringing energy communities to compete with typical energy companies in competitive bidding processes, which is a recipe, as we saw also in a recent event. We had the pleasure to hear from Germany directly, where they implemented this program. That is a recipe for stopping, not flourishing the community energy work. And at the same time, bureaucratic issues present a hurdle in many member states, while grid access remains already a problem for many people who try through energy communities to be active in the field of electricity production. On another note, the EU is providing some mixed signals, especially in the taxonomy and the gas package that we have as a coalition also raised. One of the main issues that the inclusion of nuclear and gas and the taxonomy and sustainable investments, as well as the gas citizen energy communities as part of the gas package. So those, especially those two recent, let's say, initiatives, do not necessarily help in order for energy communities to foster, especially in the on the side of clean energy technologies. Now, this is a more horizontal issue, the resources, best practice and information sharing, which is extremely important in order to create this adequate network within Europe, in order to exchange information, in order to exchange experiences, in order to transfer knowledge and so on. So this is why I think this workshop and this event is extremely important. And moving ahead with one of the main issues that we're actually facing right now in Europe, not only though, even because energy poverty existed even before the energy crisis and the outbreak and the really high electricity prices that we are experiencing at the moment. 1 out of 4 European households has been struggling in order to adequately light, heat or cool their homes, while more than 1 billion across the world do not really have access to energy. So according to the Right to Energy Coalition, there have been 3 ways that are identified in order to eradicate energy poverty in Europe. The first one is the access to secure the access to affordable clean energy as a basic human right. The second is decent energy efficiency and affordable housing for all. And the third one, and this is where the synergies start to develop, is the energy democracy and energy communities participation. Of course, energy poverty derives from a series of policies and regulations. It is a more broad issue. It's not a purely energy issue, but energy communities have a lot to offer in order to tackle this very important issue that affects a lot of many Europeans at the moment. Now, in the field of opportunities, energy communities can significantly contribute to speed up the energy transition through democratic participation, tackle energy poverty, as we just mentioned, maximize local acceptance of renewables, support local growth through sustainable job creation, and that leads to a wider benefit and more just benefit allocation, energy efficiency in order to lower the demand, and this is something that we need to also examine and explore, and of course to enhance and ensure solidarity and social justice, because energy communities have the potential to become the catalyst for the transformation that is needed in order not only to achieve the climate, energy and climate goals, but also to change the organization, the function of our local communities and societies in terms of collaborating. Now, the question is, what are the tools, the best practice, and what are the practical solutions that someone could use, could leverage in order to move ahead? So I think this session from those three different blocks of discussion, how to inform yourself with information sharing, different case studies and support measures, different business models, energy literacy, and so on, are extremely important. I'm really looking forward to actually see them. Test your market, your ideas, and your technologies. All those toolkits, new business model tools, platforms, audits, all those tools that will be presented, I think, will provide a very good idea or how to test those new ideas that come up. And of course, the most important is to act and get people involved and grow so we can all work together. Energy poverty is a great hurdle and great issue right now, so we need to see how to do it. Energy Citizenship Academy, new tools like e-market tool, knowledge exchange platforms, so people can actually together get involved, because this is something that really affects their life. Wrapping up, right now, climate crisis is accelerating with devastating impacts, especially to the most vulnerable ones. Right now, the inequalities are rising. As you can see on the right-hand side, 10%, the richest 10% is responsible for almost 50% of the total emissions, while the poorest 50% accounts is responsible only for 10% of the total emissions. So we are also discussing about an unjust system that creates more and more inequalities, because the trend is opening up with inequalities constantly. Energy crisis poses as a real threat at the moment, not as we traditionally assumed only for low-income, let's say, households, but right now, due to the crisis, and especially after the war in Ukraine, we are talking about a direct risk for impoverishment, also for middle class at the moment, which is something, let's say, more new. So we believe that it is now time to unleash this immense potential of community energy to accelerate the energy transition through citizen and municipalities' participation. That would lead in increased local acceptance for renewables. So we need to quadruple the installed capacity until 2030. So we need, in order for this process to be successful, we need participation. Else it will be really, really difficult, not to say process, wider benefits allocation, and solidarity that leads to system transformation. Next is that the EU in total must provide the right signals and protect the most vulnerable ones. And we must step up with the political pressure of the wider energy democracy movement. So we need to put climate and social justice at the very core of our initiatives and our actions. And for this reason, I think it's extremely useful to be able to know the tools and what we can do further on. So that was my presentation. Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to listen to all those very interesting platforms and tools that have been developed in order to help support the flourishing of energy communities. Feel free to get in touch with me. And thank you very much again for the presentation. And once again, congratulations for this, for organizing such an event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dimitris, for joining us today. Before giving the floor to Daniel, who is going to lead session 1, I will launch the first question of our poll. So you can go up if you are on the Teams application, well, what they call desktop app. You have the small S next to reactions and rooms. And if you click there, you have two tabs on the right side, polls and Q&A. So now I'm activating the first poll. If not, you can always connect to slido.com, and Daniel has shared the code and link on the chat, so you can find it there. And our first question is, what is your current relationship to energy communities? You have there a few answers. I'm just curious about the topic. I'm thinking about or already in the process of setting up an energy community. I am already involved in a community. My work has led me to the topic of communities with research policy making, or you are a provider of technologies. So I give you 15 seconds to answer. Daniel, if you can reshare inside the chat, the poll, that would be great. Okay. This is the first of using the Slido inside Teams, so I don't see how to share it on the main screen, but you should probably see the answers. So we have a huge percentage of my work has led me to the topic of energy communities for researchers, policymakers, etc., nearly 70%. We have then 20% of people already engaged in an energy community, so I'm very happy to have you here as well. You will for sure learn things here. We have technology providers, so 17%. And very good as well that we have 10% thinking about or already in the process of setting up a community, because you will also find very useful tools for you. And people just curious about the topic, 3%, of course, we are also happy to have you here. So thanks for answering this first question. Daniel, if you want to share your slides for the first session. Daniel is from eCREW, Daniel Botta is from eCREW, and he will moderate the session called Inform Yourself. So for people who are starting to think about joining a community or really at the premises of setting up one. And we have 4 presenters in this session, so 4 tools that are going to be presented.
Thanks so much, Marine. I think you can share the slides along already, just the first slide.
I'm trying to, but it's not working. Can you try to do that?
So let me try.
No, it doesn't.
Anyway, we are exactly on time, no delay. It's 9:30, so we are starting at the right moment.
Maybe I'll just start talking so long then while the slides slowly load. So first of all, just to say thank you so much, Dimitris, for that stirring keynote. It's a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. So good morning, everyone. My name's Daniel Botta. I work at eCREW Europe as a project officer, and eCREW is involved in quite a number of the energy community projects that are featured today. I'll be moderating this first session of the Tools Workshop. So just a reminder that this session is titled Inform Yourself, and it'll be focused on the stage prior to starting a community energy initiative. So for those, I think it was about 25% of people in that poll who are just curious about the topic or thinking about starting an energy community, this is the perfect session for you, and it's fine if you don't know a lot yet. We're going to be going over some of the tools that discuss the most fundamental aspects of the topic. So those that help to define and explain core concepts, so what we call energy literacy, helping to identify reliable sources of information, connecting people that want to do projects together, and then there's also some support measures for sort of early new projects. I think this is especially important because the topic is currently so dynamic and fast changing, so things can seem a bit overwhelming for newcomers. As Dimitris was talking about, there are all these nested crises at the moment, so like spiraling energy costs, the war in Ukraine, the climate crisis. These are really encouraging people to consider and research these reliable, decentralized sources of energy. So there's been an explosion of public interest. And then from the EU side, the EU's made market uptake of energy innovation a real significant policy priority. And there are just a bewildering number of these projects, publications, tools, and webinars going on at the moment. So the idea of this first session is to provide a nice overview of where one should start on this topic for newcomers. We've already seen where...
See them. Do you
yes.
see the slides, Daniel? Super.
Yes,
so you
I
can
do.
take control.
I do, exactly. So to discuss this project further, I'm very glad to be joined by a cast of insightful speakers from a variety of these ongoing projects. I think without further ado, we can hand over to my colleague, Silvia Assalini. Silvia will be presenting on the Decide Project's Knowledge Hub. Welcome, Silvia.
Welcome, everyone, and good morning. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today and to start off this first round, introducing you to our character, Andrea. So, Andrea, maybe you share Andrea's thoughts. He thinks that energy has never been such a popular topic as now. On TV, radio, and internet, experts discuss a lot about the need to change the current energy system, as Dimitri was also saying. Among the many buzzwords, one in particular captured the attention of Andrea, which is energy community. Andrea understands that it has to do with having people being more active in the energy production, and often it is related with renewable energy, but not always. So it seems that it more Andrea heard about energy communities, the more question pops up in their mind. So what is exactly an energy community? What does it entail? What is in there for Andrea, and how to start this out? So whether Andrea is a student, a retired person, owner of a business, employee in the municipality, or maybe volunteer in the NGO, or just simply Andrea, the first step would be the same, to understand better. So what I will suggest to Andrea is to have a look at the Decide Knowledge Hub, which is this open space, a virtual space that is accessible to anyone and has exactly the purpose of collecting the great knowledge that has been produced around the topic of energy community, but also an energy collective action at large, to put it at service of the ones that want to learn more about it. This getaway offers the possibility to get in touch with resources that have been validated. So everything that is available in the Knowledge Hub is actually the most up-to-date information that have been produced around the topic. Connecting at the Knowledge Hub, you have the opportunity to access a database of useful links where you can find further information as well as interesting and inspiring example. You might have access direct to resources that are among the most relevant ones produced by the DECIDE project, but of course not only. And finally, you will have also the possibility, as Andrea has, to access a few media contents that are recordings of webinars and interactive workshops that have been carried out among different aspects of this very complex topic of energy community. And last but not least, the Knowledge Hub is also open for Andrea to participate, and scrolling at the very bottom, you will see the possibility to click on this green button that you see on the slide, which gives the opportunity to upload resources as soon as you come across any interesting one. And why not to upload the resources that you are producing yourself, maybe with your experience. And I think that's all.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Sylvia. Next up, we're going to be hearing from Kostas Stasopoulos, who will be talking about some of the support measures and case studies developed as part of the W4RES project. That's Women for Renewable Energy.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Greece, Thessaloniki. Give me a moment, please, for the slides. Okay, can you see the slide now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to talk to you about the W4RES. W4RES is a project that aims at scaling up the involvement of women within renewable heating and cooling, and I will present you the support measures and some case studies of our project so far. So the general goal within the framework of community energy initiative is to develop and fine-tune measures for supporting women-led initiatives in the field of renewable heating and cooling. And by supporting measures, we mean that we have the market uptake support services, which is basically the tool that I'm going to present you today. But we also have the awareness raising campaigns that aim to raise the local awareness of the people in matters related to the renewable heating and cooling and with the gender balance. And we also have the capacity building programs where we have a separate presentation from that in session 3. The scope of this tool is mainly to provide support in the women-led initiatives that I will explain it in the next section, and to provide support in the renewable heating and cooling sector across the 8 countries of our project. Our countries are Greece, Italy, Belgium, Bulgaria, Denmark, Slovakia, Germany, and Norway. Now, the target user. The target user is mainly women-led initiative, but is not limited to other initiatives that they have a high participation of women or other kind of initiatives that are leading by men, but they have a plan to integrate a gender mainstreaming and to incorporate females in leading positions and in other kind of organizations. Now, what we need as an input for that, we just need to know some basic characteristics and the stage of each project. And the key output of our tool is to provide business and technical support services. And the general categories for that is the market research, business planning, financial and technical support, as well as mentoring and networking activities. Now, as all the tools, we also have some limitations. Our geographical limitations have to do with the countries that our consortium supports, and we also have the support services limitations in terms of the number. We have a bunch of around 50 services in the specific categories that I mentioned in the previous slide, and we also have another kind of limitation about the maximum project that we are going to support. By the end of the project, we are going to support maximum of 60 projects within 2 rounds. Now we are currently in the first round and we are supporting so far 28 projects. That means that by the end of our project, we have to support more 32 projects across our 8 countries. Now, what are the future development directions? We are currently around May, June, we will launch the second call for collecting initiatives. So Andrea can visit our website and can submit an application. After that, we will collect all the applications, we will evaluate them, and we will define the projects that we are going to support. However, I would like here to mention that through W4RES, we give a special emphasis on the energy communities, because we noticed that engaging more women in energy communities has a very positive impact on the community itself by increasing and its memberships and its business performance. And a very, very good example for that is the Greek hub of W4RES, where we are currently supporting 2 initiatives, and both of them are energy communities. We are supporting NEWCOMERS, which is the first energy community and is based in Thessaloniki, and we are also supporting Attica Energy Community, which is based in the Athens region. Both of them are building solar panels, and we are providing them business support. Now, more in detail, the role of Andrea is to visit the W4RES observatory, go through the regional hub page, select the suitable country that Andrea is interested in starting her energy communities, should navigate through the specific regional hub, check the service portfolio of W4RES, and contact the respective hub manager in order to organize meeting and fine-tune the needs of Andrea's projects aligned with the service portfolio of W4RES. Andrea is looking in general to kickstart an energy community initiatives. However, our services are available also to organize and plan another community initiative and to expand and improve the current community business concept. Andrea can take market research services, business planning, finance support, technical support, mentoring, and networking from our project. And in general, we are looking forward to support energy communities because, as I mentioned before, we give a lot of attention in the development of energy communities because we believe that the involvement of women on that will be very, very important and will play a dramatic role in the energy transition. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kostas. Next up, we're going to be hearing from Eva Teinschek, who's going to be presenting the NEWCOMERS Energy Literacy Handbook. Welcome, Eva.
Hello, everyone, from my side as well. I'm very thankful to be here and to have the opportunity to show what we've done in our project, which is actually coming to an end. So we're finishing next month, actually. So I'll talk about the Energy Literacy for Energy Communities Handbook, which we developed in our project. So let's look at it through the eyes of Andrea. So for the sake of this presentation, let's say that Andrea is someone who wishes to join an energy community, or maybe she just joined one and is still trying to get a hang of it. So what the goal of our handbook is to inform Andrea, to raise her awareness and to educate her about energy systems and energy communities. And why is that? Because we think that having good energy literacy, so having knowledge about how the general energy system works, helps to better integrate people into energy communities, to help them be more active, to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. So we think that having a well-rounded and general knowledge of energy, and then more specifically energy communities, can help people be more active and understand what they're doing. So Andrea can actually read our handbook currently in English, but she will be able to read it as well in German, Italian, Dutch, Swedish, and Slovenian, because that are the languages of our consortium partners. And as I said, she can get a well-rounded and understandable educational handbook for energy community members to improve her energy literacy. So if we look into a bit more detail, what can Andrea expect when she opens our handbook? So she can travel through all the information about energy, and then more specifically energy communities, starting very generally with energy as a physical element, and then moving into energy systems, energy production, energy consumption in the European Union, and the role the energy plays in our society and our environment. And then from that on, we move actually into energy communities. So what are the benefits and barriers of energy communities and the roles energy communities play in the energy system. So while making this handbook, we actually ran into a few limitations, but the one that stood out to us the most was that once the handbook is finished, it can't be updated. Just to explain, because we have like a PDF well-designed handbook, it is of course difficult to then put small changes in. We'd have to call our designers every month to ask them to add on. But what we did or will do as a solution is actually also provide a digital version of the handbook on a site called Pressbooks, which is for ebooks, where we will be able to regularly update it and even ask other projects to add their findings, their advice, their educational information, and so on. It will be a bit less attractive, so to say, but it will have the additional benefit of having updates. So how can Andrea use our handbook? As I said, it's a PDF e-handbook, so it is actually digital anyway. And there's clickable links, so she can open it on her computer, she can open it on her phone, on her tablet, read through it. But each chapter stands on its own as well, so she can just look at the ones that she's interested in if she wishes, or she can come back to them if she wants. So if there's information that she maybe forgot or needs to refresh. We tried to design the handbook to be very readable, to be easily digestible, to not be too long, to give information and provide links to more detailed information if needed, and to provide a lot of infographics to make it attractive to people such as Andrea, who are wishing to start their energy community journey, so not to overwhelm them. And of course, as I said, Andrea can also or will be able to also use the Pressbooks version, which is updated, where she will also be able, if she has any information, to ask us to add it to the handbook so it can grow and develop. And yeah, that is all from our side.
Thanks so much, Eva. That was very interesting. Finally, our last speaker is Johannes Slasik, who will be talking about a variety of new tools that have been developed as part of the eCREW project. Welcome, Johannes.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I appreciate that, and good morning to everyone. Perhaps if you could switch to the next slide. With eCREW, we definitely present here another important tool, in my opinion. We present a new business model, so to speak. The business model is in addition to the already established REC and SEC, which are legal frameworks for energy communities. And in this case, eCREW gives us an additional business model, namely a virtual energy community. So how does this actually work? We configured that the most difficult situation for energy communities to really be established, to successfully run as a business, to share energy within the community and maybe even sell energy, access energy to the outside, is really a barrier sometimes, depending on the legal framework. And here we overcome this barrier in a sense by implementing a virtual energy community that is led as a service partner, so to speak, by an energy utility or an energy retailer. So they already have a legal license, they already have a lot of knowledge, they are aware of the grid, they can help energy communities to expand microgrids in this case, so to speak. And this virtual platform, a digital platform, actually connects the energy retailer or energy utility with the different households, creating an energy community, so to speak. And this energy community then is connected through or with this digital platform, And this digital platform gives a lot of opportunities to the single households, to consumers and prosumers. Namely, everyone can literally see where the energy comes from. So the energy flow will be presented. Is it a renewable energy from a PV panel from a prosumer in the energy community, or is it additional energy from the energy retailer because the energy community may not have enough energy, for example, because the sun didn't shine, and so on. So you can see where the energy comes from. In addition, you can also see your consumption. Every single household, because of this app or digital platform, can see their energy consumption. So how much energy am I actually using, and what is the tariff setting at the moment? So how much does it actually cost in real time, in a real-time scenario actually? This is a great benefit in this case and adds to the business model and also to the value. I think one of the most important values of setting up such crews, such energy communities, we call them crews because they are guided by energy retailers in a sense through this app. And one of the biggest values is that it indeed creates a win-win-win situation. So even the energy retailer or energy utility has a benefit from it because they are able to stay connected with their customers. Because of the establishment of energy communities, obviously some energy retailers, utilities will probably disconnect from their customers, will probably lose their customers. Customers are interested in empowerment in this case, maybe self-sufficiency, and of course energy efficiency. And in this case, with this digital energy community, an energy retailer, energy utility can stay connected with their customers simply as a service partner. So this may offer an opportunity for an energy utility to change its perspectives, not just focusing on energy distribution, generation, distribution, transmission, but also on being a service partner, probably unlike they were before. And in this case, in the next few sessions, I will talk about more tools that we have developed here. But these tools are actually available. You can see that also on our homepage, and you can connect with us if you're interested. If you are Andrea as an energy retailer, you can connect with us trying to establish a new platform for you and for your coming to be energy community. Or if you're Andrea as a prosumer or as a consumer who is interested in setting up an energy community in perhaps this way, then you can also contact us. We have all the resources actually available to us, and pretty soon we will also have literally CEO handbooks for energy retailers that should help guide them through setting up their own energy communities. This is from my side. I think there could be one more click to perhaps have another image on this slide, but otherwise this is mine, and I'll give it back to you, Daniel. Thank you very much.
Hi, Johannes. Thank you so much for that. And sorry, it seems like the animations sometimes don't work perfectly. All right, well, thank you so much to all our speakers for some very interesting presentations. It's interesting to see how even these early foundational sections are so different and fulfill such different needs. So I think that really points to the need for this kind of webinar to help people identify the exact tools that can help them in the circumstances. I thought before we turn to some questions about the individual tools, since this is the foundational session, I thought I'd like to ask our panelists, pick their brains a little bit and ask them a few clarifying questions. So first of all, we've kind of spoken about energy communities, but if any of you would like to talk about exactly what is and what is not an example of an energy community, and then also relatedly, are there any common misconceptions about energy communities that you think need clarification. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Sylvia?
Maybe I can start with, not sure this is corresponding to other people's experience, but indeed energy community is really becoming a topic that is going out of the bubble somehow of the expert that have been working on this. So in the last couple of months, I've been asked to give some insights on what energy communities are from my friends or my parents even. That was quite surprising. And therefore, indeed, in that case, you have to readjust probably the definition that we are used to use while we speak with colleagues that are somehow already familiar with this field. So the basic answer that I feel was effective is really to having people becoming active, so starting to wonder about what can they do in the energy field to gather together and to brainstorm and put down some ideas, making use of the contacts they have, the network they have, the knowledge that they have. So really starting from having those people getting together. And one of the things that I felt was the main misunderstanding is that there is just one way of building an energy community. So maybe people heard about one example and they think that that is the way to do such initiatives, while as we know by experience, there are so many different nuances that the energy communities can take. So this diversity, I think, is something that I still have to be maybe communicated.
All right, that's very interesting. Yeah, and I think even just looking at this first session, we can see how different the types of energy communities envisioned are. Dimitris, I see you've turned your mic on. Are you interested in having a say, or?
Yeah, I was trying to find the button to raise my hand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so just to add one more thing that I went through a bit faster during my presentation, corresponding to what you mentioned in your question. So each member state, prior to the adoption of the framework for the enabling framework for community energy, they must also do an assessment of the barriers in order to create this framework that would have also specificities depending on the country and the different barriers that exist in the different member states. So it is important to, and as Sylvia mentioned, obviously we will not have one type of energy community that fits for all, because we can have different activities, we can have different frameworks and so on, but all of them should follow more or less the same order and mentality as explained both in the Renewable Energy Directive and in the Citizen Energy Directive, and of course the principles for the cooperatives. So that would be my 2 cents in this discussion. Thank you.
That's very interesting. Maybe we should use the opportunity before we hear from the other speakers to do the second Slido, which is exactly about these perceived barriers, because it would be interesting to see what the audience sees as the biggest issues. Maureen, would you be able to launch the second Slido for us?
I just did, so you can find, as before, on the right side of your screen once you've clicked on the S for Slido, or going online on slido.com. What do you find most difficult to understand about energy communities, how energy works, what an energy community is, how it works in practice, how they can be set in a local context, or the resources required? I think it's actually a multiple choice question, so you can even select more. I see already we have 7 votes.
I also see that these percentages are adding up to well over 100, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Yeah, because people can select multiple answers. So I think they're calculating differently. I have to admit, this is cool to have Slido there, but I cannot vote and I cannot ask questions because I'm leading the Slido, so I feel a bit frustrated. Okay, we have 27 votes, but we are over 70 participants, so I hope you all have a chance to vote if you want to. But so far, we can see that the most answered is that it's difficult to know how can energy communities be set up in a local context, a legal and regulatory framework.
Yes, which speaks exactly what Dimitris was talking about with the transposition and the analysis of the local context and issues.
And even though the second one, and I'm a bit surprised, is how energy communities work in practice. So we still have work to do there, all of our projects. Huh?
All right, and then at least everyone seems to know what an energy community is for the most part. All right, should we go back to my previous question? Do any of the other panelists interested in making a point about misconceptions about energy communities? Eva?
Yeah, maybe I agree with all that was said already, but what I would add is what we've seen throughout like the last 3 years of talking with people is that people a lot of times consider energy communities just energy generation mostly, and they think they have to have a big house to put solar panels on and just generate energy, and that's the only way. And I think that is the biggest thing we still need to show people is that there are very many different options of how to be active and how to join a community, and that what joins energy communities together is not so much how they work or how they're organized, but most of all what their aim and goal is at the end. So this participation in energy transition and just with the aim of benefiting the society and the environment and all participants.
Go for it, Johannes.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. And I agree with Iva, and I would like to add here that obviously it seems like we need much more awareness programs in how to set up energy communities and what are the actual benefits. So how can we create for every single household, whether they are prosumers or consumers, how can we create this win-win situation in the aspect of energy transition, so energy efficiency, self-sufficiency in that sense. And this sometimes I feel does not really always make sense. It makes more sense to the prosumers because they have their own PV panel, for example, or maybe even a wind power or something. But it does not always make sense to the consumers. And of course, here we also have the target or the issue of security. How can we secure the energy transfer, and do we have enough energy for our needs, and so on. And I think that while the concept energy community is amazing, and I think it's fantastic, and it must be the new development, there is probably not another way, but going in towards this direction, empowerment of consumers. But still, this probably will be slowed down if we do not act on, if we do not share more awareness programs. And I'm part of the eCREW project, and we have 3 lighthouse communities, and here we actually see currently how these awareness programs become fruitful, so to speak. So engaging the consumers, engaging the prosumers, so they each understand their role. And I think this might just be a big new future task for us to do. Thank you.
Perfect. And if you want to briefly explain what a prosumer is for the 7% that are the newest to the topic.
Yes, thank you very much. Of course, a prosumer is in a sense someone who is a consumer with a PV panel on their house. So they don't need necessarily the energy utility or the energy retailer to gain energy, to buy energy from, because they actually produce. That's why prosumer, the energy they produce themselves, they consume as well. So they don't need the energy utility per se. However, for example, on the really sunny days, they also gain excess energy. And while we still have a problem, a storage problem, so to speak, it's very valuable to sell this excess energy, for example, to other households, or even back to the energy utility if they can use the energy, the excess energy. And this is, of course, in the mind of the prosumers, because they realize that they have excess energy and they don't really know what to do with it. And naturally, it comes to their mind to somehow create an energy community. However, we also have to consider the role of the consumers and what's their role. How can they feel secure about this energy sharing system in a sense? Thank you.
Perfect, thanks. Kostas, you've been waiting patiently.
Yeah, just to make the clarification that there are a lot of misconceptions about energy communities, because this matter is something very, very new. The recent regulation, I think, started 2018 or 19, so it's obvious that many people confuse what is energy communities and how they operate, and they are also confused because there are a lot of different kinds of energy communities in terms of their business and governance. For example, local energy communities are only 10 and 5 people that they are building, for instance, solar panels in the roofs of buildings such as 10 kilowatt. And there are also other very, very big energy communities that are involved in projects in terms of megawatts. So they have a lot of different organizational structures. And there is also very different, there is a virtual net metering that many people are confused about it, because there are energy communities that they want to make profit by selling electricity, and there are other energy communities that they don't want to make profit, just they want to have cheaper bills in their houses. So this is also something very important that I would like to mention in terms of the different kinds of energy communities and the misperceptions.
I wonder if we should use that as an excuse, speaking about it being such a recent topic, to ask each of you, what exactly is the gap in the market which your tool seeks to fill? Why do you think there is this burning need for these particular tools?
Well, if I may just briefly start, perhaps. Sure. I think, of course, it may be just a legal restriction, and in that sense, the legal framework that is available. So fortunately, in this case, the European Union has, and with that, the nations that, in a sense, obliged to those frameworks. Fortunately, they set it up some regulation for energy communities. However, it's not really quite satisfactory, because they don't feel as free as they used to be for a couple of years ago, when the original framework was a bit more open, so to say. What does that mean? The legal restriction actually, I think, mainly targets that prosumers, here again, that they cannot just sell their excess energy simply to anyone. So they cannot just simply join the energy market. This is somewhat crumbling. So in Austria, we already have a bit more open framework than, for example, still in Germany. And yes, fortunately, there are policy briefs that are coming out where you can really get to know your national legal framework to establish an energy community. However, I think this is precisely actually the problem, the hindrance, in a sense. So here we also need, in my opinion, policymakers that really think through this process once more in order to to revitalize the popping up of energy communities in that sense.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else? I guess in that sense, it's about the issue of being a prosumer and being able to sell energy back into the grid that you're saying is the real regulatory gap at the moment.
I think so.
Daniel, just before you give the floor to Sylvia, we have 9 minutes. We have a few questions in the Q&A. If you want to give also enough time to answer them.
Sure.
One of them has actually been answered in the chat by Kostas, so you have already the answer that you can share.
Yes, because I thought these are fairly straightforward yes/no answerable questions, so I think we can get to them quite quickly. I will rather just hand over to Sylvia quickly then.
Yeah, and maybe I can also answer the question.
Yeah,
taking
sure.
to bear with the stone. So I think that picking up what colleagues have been saying, the key point is what Costa mentioned is a new topic for many people, for the ones that are outside of the energy sphere, but also for the ones that are within this field. And being still in the making, as Dimitri was saying, transposition take longer. Not all member states are really doing their job. So of course, this creates a little bit of uncertainty also from the side of the ones that should give guidelines. For example, being part of eCREW, representing local governments, municipalities are one of the entities that can be active in setting up energy communities. And of course, they could play a key role in guiding citizens. But how to guide people when yourself are not sure how to go about it. So this is, of course, something that we, together with the colleagues on other projects, are trying to support anyone with, and that's where I see the Knowledge Hub playing a role in trying to capture the great knowledge that all of us is producing on their own project initiatives and different organization, and to give a single entry point to this all. And to address the question, the Knowledge Hub is covering Europe mainly. You will see among the resources the possibility to filter them by country so that you can find what is relevant for your own context, and also by language, because of course one of the barriers is that many of the resources might be not accessible to everyone because of the language barrier. And then I was just picking up on what Johannes was saying, and the need of awareness. Of course, we are here presenting just few items, but I guess all projects are having a lot of doing a lot of work on capacity building activities. So is, for example, the site. So if you go on the website, you will see what we have been doing and what we will do in the future. And those webinars and session and discussion that through our projects we are providing, hopefully will help in people in understanding better. And last point, Kostas mentioned very rightly that drivers for people to act are not only economic driver, are not only environmental driver. So people might decide to take action for different reasons, and this is something very important to bear in mind when we do our job. And for example, in the site we have a team that is investigating the social norms and reasons why people do take action, which I think is very interesting angle to look at this issue.
Thanks, Sylvia. Yeah, and I completely agree that there's just too much information out there. So this kind of one-stop shop that is well categorized as well, that you can really sift through and find your topic, your location, everything is very, very useful. Kostas and Iva, I'm not sure if you have anything to add. There are questions for both of you in the chat as well.
Yeah, maybe I can jump in, and just to hang on to this flow and too much information. What the goal of our handbook was, and what it brings to this process, is to kind of simplify and gather all this information in a few pages, just for people who are really just starting to get into this. So they're not overwhelmed with all the information, and to get information about energy, how energy in general works at the start, and then moving on to energy communities, because what we found out, also me, for example, through studies, is that a lot of people don't have the knowledge about energy to then understand energy communities. So just to get people into this process and get them interested and get them to understand how energy systems work first, and then move on to energy communities and more specifically. And as for the target audience, I would say anyone who's interested, but I think anyone who's in the energy sector and really active, it might be a bit too simple for them. Particularly the first few chapters, but I think the chapters on energy communities might be interesting for anyone who's starting to get to know them. And as for the age limit, I think anyone from high school up could read it and understand it. Yeah.
Perfect. And then Kostas, maybe you want to briefly talk about if there's a deadline to apply for W4RES. Is it still open or?
Yes, of course. I also write it in the chat. Now there is not an official deadline. We will launch the second call for projects end of May, beginning June. So we will start gathering initiatives. You can go to the W4RES Observatory. I sent the link in the chat. You can contact the respective hub manager based on the country that you want to receive support, and we will get in touch with you to organize a meeting.
And is it open for India?
This question for India is for us. I think our project supports only European countries. However, because we want to support more projects, you are welcome to make an application. We will evaluate the application in terms of the female participation, in terms of the renewable heating and cooling concept, and we will contact you. Thank you.
All right, perfect. I think it's almost time to wrap up here. To summarize, I thought I'd maybe talk, who can we contact? Some questions, who can we contact? Kostas, can they contact you or?
Yes, of course, you can contact me, yeah. Contact the Greek hub manager, which is Kostas Vasopoulos, is me. You can find my email in the W4RES Observatory.
And as Marine said, we will be sending out a package to all the audience members.
Exactly.
With contact details and things. So if I had to briefly summarize what I see as some of the similarities and differences between the projects today, and speakers, please correct me if I'm misrepresenting your projects here. Also in answer to the India question, I think because these are all EU-funded projects, there is a fairly strong EU focus. They're obviously all looking at energy communities, targeting people just beginning their energy community journey. And because of that, it's this early phase information about facilitating networking, finding general sources of information, energy literacy, etc. I think there's some differences in terms of the types of energy involved. So many of them are quite general energy communities, but then some of them, so for instance, W4RES looks only at renewable heating and cooling. So if you're interested in charging your electric vehicle, I guess that would not be applicable. In terms of the target audience, some of them are very broad. So like Decides is meant for users and people working on the research and policy side. Then eCREW, for instance, talks about users generally, and then of course, 4RES is the most focused, with this focus specifically on women in energy. The type of structure envisioned is also depends. So for instance, eCREW particularly has this interesting focus on connecting virtual energy communities as a new concept rather than energy communities in general. Yes, and I've spoken about the geographical scope already.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back slowly from the coffee break. My name is Lucia Rakočević. I come from Tinky. I work for Tinky, and we are the leading partner in Project Decide, an H2020 project that you heard earlier. Now we're already 2 years in, and We're relatively wide scope, so we look at the collective actions, meaning any community initiatives and also energy communities. And we started by looking at what is the main recipe for a successful energy community. But we learn along the way, as we've heard also today, that there isn't really one recipe. There might not even be one recipe per country, but that there is different community initiatives that exist and will be forming, and we need to find ways to support that. And today, we've heard from you already that I think 70% of you have came across energy communities within your work. And we even heard that many of you are trying to figure out what is an energy community, what is the use of it, how can we help energy transition with energy communities. In this session, now it's the assumption that by using the tools that were presented in the first session, of course, there is many other tools out there. Within Sisters projects, we work with more than 10 projects together on the European level, trying to figure out how we can create synergies and not to duplicate each other's work, but rather build on it. And I'm really glad that we got to do this today, and we really hope that this is useful for you. There is two sort of main reasons why we organize this. One of them is to present to you what are the tools that the different European projects are developing, even though in some cases, if you're involved in a European project, it seems obvious, but there is also this bit, let's say, bubble of these projects where information is shared, and we're trying with this also action to share this wider to other people as well, but also to get your feedback on what you believe or what you think from your experience would be a useful thing to have from a tool. So within the second session, we'll hear from different tools from 6 different projects. There is 7 tools that will be presented briefly, and then we'll have some time for discussion and also your questions. So feel free to ask questions in the Slido or in the chat. And mainly the tools that are presented now will be focused on, okay, let's say you know what an energy community is, you learned some about energy communities, about community initiatives, and now you want to see how you could do something. What is the specific, let's say, business models? What is the specific idea that you could do in your local area? What is the market there? Which platforms can support you? So we're going to start with Sebastian Zapata from BECoop project. Sebastian, please welcome, and feel free to take over the control of the slides. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lucica. Well, good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of the event for letting us visualize several tools that we have developed in the framework of the BECoop project. Just a quick reminder about BECoop. One of the main goals of the BECoop is to help in the uptake of bioenergy community. And the toolkit it should provide support in this goal. So what is the toolkit? The toolkit is a repository, a reference web page in which we have included all the current and available tools that have been developed in other European projects or even by other organizations that provide specific and useful information about some specific topics related with bioenergy and community models. So this is the information that you can find there. It can be used by the general public, almost all types of stakeholders, but the only thing that you need is to know what you want to find out, what do you want to know more information. And this is the main output that you can find in the tool. So right now in the toolkit, we have 68 tools that are grouped in 5 different categories. As you can see, there are technical tools, business model tool, community model tools, also related projects that are based in the main same goal as the BECoop, and also the self-assessment tool that is a tool that we have developed also in BECoop, and we will explain later. So inside of this category, you have a second layer of classification, Well, you have the definition of each of these classification in the toolkit, but also there is a handbook which explains everything very well. So what you need to find out is the tool that best suits for the needs that you have. And right now, as I say, we have 68 tools, but we are working on that. So there are other tools that have been identified, and we are studying, and it will be included in the following months. Also, we would like, if some of you have a tool you would like to introduce in this reference web page, obviously just send me, contact me, and we will include it for sure. So, or even if you have some problem or you have some doubts or some, let's say, some improvement in your or some idea, please let us know, because we will consider since this tool is under development. We will provide updates in the following months. So here an example that you can find in the toolkit. So our character Andrea, imagine that she wants to develop, for instance, a district heating. She have contacted with energy service company, and she needs to find out a global number of the heat density of the municipality where she wants to install a district heating. So she can go to the toolkit. Obviously, this is a technical issue. So she's going to the category of technical tools, and after that, she clicked in maps observatories. She have a list of the tools that she can find that are included in the toolkit, and one of them is hot maps. So this tool was developed by an external company, and in there you can find the heat density of of any location in the European Union. So here always you will have the link of the tool, and also in some case, in the case that we have considered that the tool could provide a more useful insight, we have developed a short guideline in which we explain the output that you can obtain and how to use this tool. Sorry. Also, you can find the main objective of each of the tool, and also the specific user of the tool. So that's all mainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. You have another role, another hat in our session. You'll also be presenting, you mentioned it earlier, the details of the self-assessment tool. So maybe it's also under BECoop, right?
Yeah.
You can also access it through the toolkit, I assume.
Yeah, well, there are different tools, but you can access through the web page of the BECoop. You can find there.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, well, the title of this session, the session 2, is Test Your Idea. So this is mainly the main goal of the self-assessment tool. Do you have an idea in order to do a bioenergy community, but you don't know how far or how near are you from the reality? So this is the tool that you can use, because in this tool, mainly what we are is to provide or to tell you the current status that you in which you are, in order to promote or to uptake this bioenergy community. So the tool have been designed in order to be used by non-specialized and inexperienced users. It requires a short period of time, around 15-30 minutes. The tool is in English. Obviously, you need some English comprehension, and the main output is the current status of your bioenergy community. Also, we say what is your strength and the weakness through a visual way, and we provide recommendations just in order to help you with the big weakness points. As I say, BECoop is based on bioenergy communities, but also mainly in the residential sector and small heating applications. So this is the case that you will find in the self-assessment tool. In order to promote any initiative, there are, or we have considered that there are 5 main, let's say, categories, just in order to assess. The first one is to know the knowledge of the resources. The second one, the user engagement. Also the technical solution maturity, as same as the business. solution maturity, and finally the social and environmental impact. So using the self-assessment tool, you will find some questions in each of these specific category in order to assess the current status. Also, if you don't have any idea how to develop an initiative, this also will act as a roadmap, because there are general questions, and this is more or less the basic information that you need to know in order to promote this kind of initiative. And some limitation, as I say, is that it's in English right now. This is also under development, but it's available and it's ready. Also, there is a button that you can send any feedback. So if you use it, please send us the feedback, also the satisfaction degree and things like that. Because also we are working on that, and we will implement new cases in the tool. Finally, this is just a practical example with Andrea. So the first thing that you will find in the tool is that, well, you will have a brief description of the tool, but after that, you will have to select the biomass resources that you are considering for your initiative. And you will find 5 different biomass resources there. After you click, there will appear five questions. Each question has several answers that you have to click the one that you more identified with that. After that, you will have to select an activity that you want to develop, for instance, a logistics supply, or for instance, to develop a biomass logistics center just in order to produce pellets, or a district heating, or a biogas plant, or just commercialize pellets, or whatever. There are 14 activities included in the tool. If you miss someone, obviously you can write me. We will consider if we can include it. And there are questions about these activities in the main category that we had mentioned: user engagement, technical, business, and social and environmental impact. And finally, you will obtain the result. You will obtain a mark for all the categories, and also a general mark, the current status, and also the tool provides recommendations and links in order to go deeper, mainly in the question or in the aspect that you say that you don't know about that, or you don't have information, or something like that. So, well, that's all from my side here. So I invite you to use the tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you. I'm sure there'll be many questions. There is a lot of tools here that are within one, also in the first toolkit, and now with the self-assessment. I would like to continue because we have more tools to present, and then we go back to the discussion. So Johannes Slahik, you already met him from eCREW project. Johannes, it's your turn. Okay, the presentation has stopped. Just a second, I'll share it again. If you can please present how the tool that is developed under eCREW can help assess the business model for the community initiatives. And I'm going back to your slide. Just a second. Here we go.
Super, thank you very much, Lucia. I would like to share with you, in a sense, our experiences with our 3 lighthouse communities, which means we rolled out our eCREW business model, and we gathered already quite some information on how it's actually working in our lighthouse communities. And based on that, we obviously have already the tools that work. We also can see the enablers and the barriers of what hinders the process, what slows the process down, but also, of course, what fosters the implementation of an eCREW business model. And in this case, also the center, the heart of this business model, in a sense, the digital platform. So we have 3 lighthouse communities, one in Spain, one in Turkey, and one in Germany. And obviously those 3 lighthouse communities all have a different situation. Spain and Turkey, they have a lot of sun. We need here, or the prosumers that actually are engaged in a business, in our business model, in our crews, they have much more energy to provide due to the sun. Whereas in Germany here, we do have still very cloudy skies, so to speak, and not enough sun, or much less sun. So here is a difference that we need to evaluate. And implementing and starting these crews, rolling out this digital platform and this business model has shown us what works and what doesn't work in a sense. So legal barriers actually have been pretty much bypassed by the business model itself, because we work with the energy utility or the energy retailer together, and in that aspect all the community members that join an eCREW automatically are legalized, so to speak, to share energy. And since this is a virtual energy community, we can go even across regional borders, so to speak, to let some other households join this eCREW community. As we see, for example, in Germany, we have like more than 100 households already joined the crew. In Turkey, however, for example, we already have just in one crew in our Lighthouse community, 1,823 members. So you can really expand your crews in this case, because the center is actually a digital platform. So on the digital platform, and this is how the tool works, you can on the one hand visualize all your energy flows and your tariff setting, but also you have a split incentive and a household comparison. You see how much a household uses energy, and you can compare it with your own energy consumption. Therefore, automatically somehow it evokes to become more efficient. And this is actually a very good enabler for Andrea as well to actually join an energy community in this case. And again, yes, for this we need awareness programs. That's what we do currently in all Lighthouse communities, to actually to share this information and to show the enablers and the barriers. Enablers, for example, are shared sustainability values, which is, I think, one of the top enablers, which means that if an energy utility, energy retailer, if they also think we need to go towards sustainability, we need to enforce this energy transition and empower consumers and prosumers, this shared value, so to speak, with the consumer and prosumer helps to, of course, establish such a business model. Also, motivation, depending on the crew members, so the consumers, the prosumers, they are eager to actually be part of this energy transition. And we have many more tools that obviously cannot be shared all here, but these are great experiences that we can share with you, or in this case, that would help Andrea to really get to know this model, this energy community business model, and to understand how to start this energy community model. Thank you very much.
And Johannes, what does it mean that the tool is half available, half not? Because I see that on the bottom of your slide, it's
yes.
Partially available. What do we mean by that?
Thank you very much for this question. The digital platform, for example, is already all the way through available, and we can work with it, whether Andrea is in this case the energy retailer and using this digital platform, or we can also implement that without the retailer, so to speak, as a center of the energy community, creating this digital energy community. This is available, the PV amortization calculator, which means that for prosumers, it's very interesting that when does my PV panel actually pay off? I invested and I want to see if I can share, if I can sell my excess energy. At what point does my PV installation actually pay off? And even such a calculator we included in our digital platform. However, this is not yet available. We are currently still testing it, and it'll probably be available by the end of the year. Also, the enablers and the barriers. That is something that we are currently setting up, and that will be available within the summer.
All right, thank you, Hannes. If we can please have Henrik Schopp from Upstairs Project presenting the digital platform. Hello.
Yes, hello. thanks.
You can take over the control of the slides if you want, or I can share the. I can change the slides. There you go. All right.
Okay. Yeah. So hello and thanks for inviting. Greetings from Munich in Germany. Okay. Just to start talking about upstairs project, I wanted to explain the blue bar. It has been changed a little bit, but it should be available since last week, but we struggled a little bit. So it will be the platform upstairs-energy.com, which is the place of our tool we are presenting today. Will go live very soon, so either this week or next week. And the combination of green and red in the ready icon is saying, well, we launch it. It can be used, the tool, but then we will add functionality in the coming months to have it more complete and to also test the acceptance of the citizens accessing this tool. So what is Upstairs and what is the Upstairs project? It's a one-stop shop concept, and it shall help citizen energy communities and renewable energy communities help to being realized. We will focus today on the online part of that one-stop shop, the digital platform, as we call it. But in the 5 pilot regions across Europe, it's always a combination of a physical one-stop shop where citizens can go to, and then the online one-stop shop, the digital platform. The tool is mainly targeting citizens, so real end consumers and customers who are looking for setting up energy efficiency projects or renewable energy communities. And the concept is based on bringing these citizens together with implementation champions. These are, let's say, somehow consultants who have knowledge about how to set up such projects, how to set up renewable energy communities, and they are there to help the citizens in bringing their ideas and their project ideas live. And yeah, as I said, it's focusing on implementing energy efficiency projects and renewable energy measures and communities. It's very important, I guess, to understand that this digital platform is supporting and helping citizens on the one hand side, and the implementation champions, the consultants, to come together and to exchange information. But of course, the tool cannot really substitute personal meetings. So if you want to have a energy efficiency project and you need to have a look at the buildings who shall be renovated, for example, or retrofitted. And then on top of that, the tool does not deliver an fully automated project management and an instant output. It can be used to communicate, to collaborate, to show the progress of a project towards the citizen participating in a project. And so the implementation champion is the host of that tool and inviting the citizens to be part of a project, and he or she can also adapt the tool. For example, if you want to show the progress, the steps a project needs to take from the beginning till the end, till it goes live, the implementation champion can really change these steps and show the progress of a project. So, as I said in the beginning, we are just about to launch the tool in the 5 pilot regions, which is in Bulgaria, in Ireland, in Spain, in Austria, Upper Austria. and then it will run for 18 months in these 4 to 5 pilot regions. We will, as I said, we will add tools along this 18 months and optimize the onboarding and matching of citizens in that project in the remaining 18 months of the project. So from the eyes of Andrea, I would say Andrea would be a citizen in a EU country, like for example in Austria or in Spain or in Portugal or Italy, where there's already a legislative frame for the EU directive for renewable energy communities. And she wants to set up an energy community in her municipality. And she's going to that platform. She's getting on the one hand side information about how to set up energy communities, but then she can register and enter or set up a project room, as we call it. And in that project room, she's accompanied by that implementation champion. And then other stakeholders, like for example, the municipality or maybe an ESCO helping them to set up the renewable energy community, could join and could work as a team into this project room. And if she manages to set up a renewable energy community in her municipality, she could even use this tool, Upstairs Minus Energy, to engage other citizens by saying, just go to that platform, register, and join our project room for our energy community, and then they can work together.
Thank you, Henrik. We already see in the chat a comment that somebody tried to access the platform and they said that it wasn't working. I understood it's coming online this week. Is that
it's this or next week we will launch it. Yeah.
Okay. And the pilot means that in those countries anybody can still use it. It's open to public. It's just to the specific countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
thank you,
they
Henrik.
are, sorry, just to add, the operator of these pilot region one-stop shops are either energy saving associations or municipalities. So they are the operator. They are offering that service.
Okay. Thank you, Henrik. I'm sure we'll have more questions for you later on. We continue now with the Stavrila Papa from ComRes project. Stavrila, can you please take control of the slides? Is that possible, or I can change them for you?
Yes, I think I've done it already. If it doesn't work, let me know. Thanks a lot, Lucia, and thanks a lot to the organizers for the invitation for today's session. I have as well checked all these very interesting tools already. Let me introduce myself for starters. My name is Stavrila Papa, as you mentioned. I'm a project manager and I work in RESCoops EU, which is a European Federation of Citizen Energy Cooperatives. So a feedback, so we have members, energy communities and energy cooperatives around Europe. And the feedback we receive a lot from our members sometimes is that they, although there is a lot of information on the topic, it is a lot spread around different websites or project websites or tools or platforms, and it is a lot spread and they cannot find what they want to find each time. And another observation we have made through our participation in projects is that several times some very useful tools or some very useful platforms stop being used after the project ends, and that's really a pity. And we wanted to try to deal with this issue. And the solution we came up with is this energy community platform that we are developing at the moment. And let me share with you some of the main features that it will have. So first of all, it is targeting citizens and communities that want to either set up or advance their energy community projects. So as I said, it will be a platform that will gather all available resources for energy communities in one place. The idea is to have everything together for people to have better access on resources available. Yes, these resources will be classified. Of course, there will be different filters for the resources, and they will be classified based on the stage of development of the community energy initiative. So it's for beginners, but also for initiatives that want to scale up their their project. And it will be there will be a signing feature, and then users will be able to take a test in the beginning to determine the development stage of the project, and then have access to specific resources for their level of development. The tools and resources will be included are gathering developed in the course of European projects. And every project will contribute some features to this energy community platform. And then, of course, there will be an acknowledgement of the project. So in case for projects, feel free to reach me in case you want to collaborate and add your resources on this. The tool will also have a community energy map. I think we are on the wrong slide. I want to go back. Yes. So the tool will have also a community map where there will be a map of Europe with a lot of initiatives and energy communities already existing. So there will be also the possibility to reach these initiatives and access and discuss with them. And there will be also a network of experts in different topics, and people will also have the possibility to send them a message and receive some advice on their project. Some projects are already supporting our platform. For example, Eco, Compile, and of course, ComRes is one of the projects that will participate in this platform and will add several features and resources. And my colleague will explain this in just the next slide, what ComRes will add. And then in terms of timing, you see that it is not a ready tool yet, but we plan to have it ready up and running in June. So June 2022. There is no need to have any existing knowledge on the topic of energy communities. As I told you already, it's also for people that are just starting and want to know more about the energy community topic. It covers all technologies and topics relevant for energy communities. There will be resources for all stages of development, as I said, and the coverage is European EU coverage. So I would propose that I will now leave it to my colleague Isabel from the ComRes project to explain a bit the added features that ComRes will add to our platform, and then I will come back to Andrea.
Maybe for the sense of time, Isabel, if you can just be brief, and then because we're already a bit late behind the schedule. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So just a quick view of what ComRes will contribute to this RESCOOP or community energy one-stop shop or platform is that, well, we have been looking at different legal and regulatory frameworks in 9 countries. So here we can have country-specific insights on what could or cannot be considered as a REC, and this will help also communities that want to implement and be considered as RECs in different member states. And then we will have, of course, some capacity building material and good and best practices that we've identified previously. And one additional feature that I think it will be relevant is that we will have sustainability scorecard, which will allow RECs or new members that want to create a REC to measure or assess the benefits of that this initiative could have for the local community, and this will measure social, economic, and environmental benefits. And this can be done if the REC is not existent or in already existing RECs. So it will be relevant to understand what are actually the benefits of these communities for the local contexts. Yeah, so go ahead, Pavlula, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Isabel. And actually, in our scenario, Andrea lives in Porto, in Portugal, which is one of the countries that we focus on in ComRes, and we develop several material. And because of the high electricity prices she has to pay, she's really thinking on setting up an energy community in the area together with the neighbors, but she has no idea on where to start. So Andrea can definitely check the energy community platform, take the test, and see that they're on the first stage, the stage of awareness, and she will get all the resources relevant for setting up an energy community, also on the national language. That's also an added feature of the platform. There will be resources available in different languages. Yes, Andrea will have the opportunity to have access to a lot of information and resources. So happy to reply to questions, but I don't have, for some reason, access to the chat. So let me know, Lucia, if there is any question.
Okay, thank you, Stavrula. There is just a quick question from Marine. If the tools that are presented today will be automatically added to the platform, or do we need to contact you separately regarding that?
I would propose that you contact me so that we can discuss adding all these tools to this platform.
All right, thank you very much. We also have from POWERPOOR project, which we already saw one of the tools. Now we have Marlene Louvet with us presenting the gender audit. Marlene, you can take also the control of the presentation if you like, or I can change the slides for you. Go ahead. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. I hope you can hear me well. Yeah, I think it works. Welcome everyone, and thanks to have invited me here. I would like to present you the gender audits that are part of our support services that my colleague Costas have already presented before. And our gender audits aim essentially to help identify gender gaps and opportunities in existing organizations or energy communities and projects. But it also enables to establish a baseline against which progress on gender equality can be measured over time, and also to develop a recommendation to improve the gender equality. The scope of the gender audit can have two levels. So first, an internal level, meaning the organization or the energy community itself, its managerial structure, how much it fosters and participates to gender equality and in its internal work. But it can also be external, meaning how the actions, the projects or the policies evaluate the different gender needs, the gender benefits of the target group of a project or of a project, for example. The target user of our gender audit is the respondent, of course, of the gender audit. That should be someone having access or knowledge on the community members, but also about the existing programs or policies. So, for example, knowing if there is existence of non-discriminatory policies or gender quotas, for example. By participating to these gender audits, the community will receive recommendations on how to best act to establish a gender-just community, and could then develop and implement a gender action plan. So you could have a different purpose by answering to this gender audit depending on the motivation. It could be simply to know better how the community is disaggregated, or to, again, measure progress, but also could be to identify critical gender gaps and challenges, or simply to make the community more attractive for future members and stakeholders. Our future development for this tool for us now is the analysis of the result collected for the first round of initiative that we are supporting, and then we will develop recommendation for future action planning, meaning the gender action plan. So if you are interested of receiving such a recommendation, I invite you to apply to our second round for call of interest for support services that are launched in May, as my colleague Costas already mentioned. So as Andrea, Andrea would answer to a gender audit questionnaire, which is a series of approximately 10 questions to have a better overview on the existing opportunities and gaps of the gender equality in our community. And then WECF, as part of the Women4Us project, will develop recommendations. Andrea aims to improve gender equality in her community, and she needs guidance for it. And then the energy community, and Andrea will develop a gender action plan, which is based on the recommendation that will be developed, and implement the plan together with all community members. So thank you. And if you have any question, please answer.
Thank you, Marlene. We have few questions, but I think they're also related to all the others. So I would like to wait to hear also Eva's presentation from newcomers, and then we go back to that, if that's okay. Eva, we already heard from you, but now you're presenting a different tool from newcomers, the platform Our Energy. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'll try to be quick so we can have a good discussion, because there's a lot of really interesting tools here. So yeah, within the newcomers, we developed two tools for external use. So the handbook, which I presented, and Our Energy, which is a platform. But let's look at it again through the eyes of Andrea. So in this case, she would be either an energy community or an energy community member, a policymaker, a student, an academic, maybe it's a citizen that's interested in becoming more active in energy transition, or anyone else who's interested in an energy community movement. So the goal of this platform is to share ideas, knowledge, and experience, and not just our ideas, our knowledge, and our experiences, but also the knowledge, ideas, and experiences of everyone that's active in the energy sector. So Our Energy is an online platform. It's for education, awareness raising, and networking, and it is focused on energy communities, energy transition, and all related topics. The key inputs for the platform are people from a variety of areas sharing their experiences, their knowledge, their inspiration, and so on. And what we made from that, so once we've interviewed them or got in contact with them, is short, dynamic, multimedia presentations about those topics that they talk about, which are mostly focused on communities, but also energy more general. So what can Andrea expect when she goes to Our Energy? She can find educational content, which we named Educate Me. There are some research results, maybe summaries of articles that talk about energy communities or energy in general. And this content is very much connected to the handbook, so the topics that I presented before. Then we have advisory content, which we named Advise Me, where there's different energy experts and people active in the energy sector sharing their advice. Then we have inspirational content titled Inspire Me, where we have, for example, successful energy communities sharing their experiences, their stories, maybe not so much focused on how to do something, but just to share how their ideas and maybe inspire people to do so as well. And then we have networking possibilities titled Connect Me, where we actually made a database of the organizations and people we've worked with or got to know during our project, and could be useful for anyone that's using Our Energy. So now that I'm explaining this, I see that it might sound like there's too much, and people might not find specifically what they're looking for. So for that reason, we actually installed a lot of filters that so that people can click whether they're interested in content for energy communities or for policymakers, whether they want inspirational or advisory content, and so on. So some limitations of our platform that we've run upon are that it will be hard to update after the end of the project. And the second one that we found it quite hard is reaching people and getting them to be brave enough to share their experience. I think a lot of people are too afraid because we have the format is a presentation. So we usually inserted videos. A lot of people are not comfortable with sharing their videos, talking about, or they don't feel like they know enough. So the solution for that we don't have the solution for updating after the end of the project, we are very hopeful that our energy will be able to be included in new projects that are starting now or in the future few months. So how can Andrea use our energy? Well, she can just open it, and I think it's pretty straightforward. It works kind of like a Netflix library. So you open the library, you can browse through the presentations, you can choose some filters and find the presentations that you're interested in, and explore the topics. You can do it on your computer, your phone, your tablet. And yeah, and if Andrea has experiences or ideas she wants to share, she can share it with us, and then we can collaborate on making new content. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you for all the presenters. I would ask you if you can please turn on your video and join me on the panel here. And also I would ask Marine if we can have the Slido question that we ask audience. So we would like to ask you, what would you like from an assessment tool? And there is multiple options to answer from, and one of them is to clearly define the legal perspectives that the initiatives can have, to direct me to the sources information, funding sources, economic visibility, and so forth. And while you answer the Slido question, we'll look at that in a minute. There is 2 questions that have been raised in the chat that I think are very relevant to sort of the business model and the market. And first one of them is from the user perspective, because this is something that we've also discussed in the first session. It was more focused on people that are not so familiar with energy. In this session, indeed, there is a bit more, let's say, energy specific language. And so the question that has been asked is, from your experience, who are the main users of these tools? Is it a bit more is it for the citizen setting up energy community, or is it rather for experts or other projects, or because the language indeed can sometimes be a bit too, let's say, specific? You're welcome to answer. You can just unmute yourself.
Well, if I may. Oh, pardon.
Go ahead.
Let's go ahead, Johannes.
Okay, thank you. I think that in general, I think all these projects come together for actually practical use. So we try to have applied science, in a sense, backing up the practical implementation of the different tools to be used for energy communities, for startups, and for consumers and prosumers, or municipalities, anyone else who would like to engage or start up an energy community. And the question is, of course, how can we as perhaps experts break it down so that really everyone can understand? And here again, I think these awareness programs may just be a solution or a key to bringing the expert knowledge really to the practical implementation to the folk, so to speak. And in a sense, it's designed for them, so it's of utmost importance that they understand, that the consumer understands which tools are available and how to use them. Thanks.
Thank you, Johannes. Sebastian or Henrik, you already started. Sorry.
Maybe just, sorry, Sebastian, just to add to what Johannes said, because my input goes in the same direction. For example, for upstairs, there's always a local operator of a one-stop shop, and this local operator knows, for example, the Italian or Austrian or Spanish legal framework, the technical aspects in this country. So it is the one-stop shop shall be tied to the local circumstances to set up a renewable energy community. It's not for all European citizens accessing and getting legal advice, technical advice, financial advice across Europe. It's always region or country specific. That's the target of that one-stop shop concept.
Thank you, Henrik. Maybe Sebastian,
Well, thank you. No, I just want to add regarding the question of Angela that in the case of the BECoop tools, and the self-assessment is 100% for people that want to set up a bioenergy community, because this is the only goal of this tool, not for experts. And in the case of the toolkit, it could be both kind of a stakeholder, because obviously also an expert can use some tools in order to get some specific information. That's only.
I think the question was also, you know, I know some of these tools are only developing, so we might not yet have experience on who has used them. But I think also the question is, okay, we know who we would like to use the tools, but then who has used the tools and what is the feedback from that? That's also a question. Stavrila, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. A small addition from my side as well. Something that is a barrier when people and citizens want to reach a tool is also the language, and tools being only in English. So in ComRes, we do put a lot of effort into translations and translating a lot of resources into the national languages. And this will be also a feature added on the energy community platform. We will have resources in different languages. And except for that, I also see that there is an added value in separating all resources based on the stage of development of an initiative. Because if a citizen just wants to acquire some initial information on how to set up an energy community, I'm sure that if they start with a resource on a more technical topic, they won't understand much. So that's also a feature that will be added in the energy community platform, and we'll have this test in the beginning to target them the resources and tools to the stage of development.
Thank you. Thank you, Stavrila. Maybe Angela, just a short comment, because it is your question, and then I would like to move on to the second one. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for all the answers. I just wanted, yes, to give a small comment. We are doing in the moment a collection of tools in the Shares project. It's a sister project of yours. And I really like your initiative for this meeting today. It really helps. But my experience is I mean, we have looked in all your projects in the last weeks, and there's so much information there in English, and it's really hard for me to get an overview. And all these tools are made for people, for normal people whose English will most probably not be the best, to give basic information on energy communities. And I have talked to many pilots now, and not one of them will go to the website of an EU project to find some information on energy communities. And I mean, in Austria, we have this German one-stop shop, and I think this is really useful, and I think it's really useful for all this knowledge transfer and to take the tools and translate them and put them on your national one-stop shop. I think that this is great, but I think the hope that people go to the tools on an EU project website is quite a very high hope.
Thank you, Angela. It's a good comment, and I think indeed there is just so much an EU project can do, and if there is let's say, interest from the public to do this, that's something that the European Commission should take up as an initiative, and they have. There's been Energy Community Repository launched this week, and I think that's one, let's say, push from the European Commission also to have an overarching sort of place where people can go and maybe from there link to these other initiatives that had been, because also what we've heard today is there is tools, but then once the project is over, how do you update these tools? So this is something that really needs to be taken up from the systematic point of view. Eva, I see your hand, maybe a very quick comment, because I really want to get to the second question and we don't have much time.
Sorry, I'll be really quick. Yeah. I just maybe a suggestion as to how maybe make the tools more useful despite the language barriers is opening up in the principles of open education. So we license the content so people can take parts of it, translate it, and maybe use them in their national tools or whatever they develop. So they're still useful even if just a small selection of people is using them, as long as they're able to then promote them forward, maybe adapt them a bit, translate them, and so on.
Thank you, Eva. Thanks. And we see based on the poll that has been shared with you that even though not all of you answered, there is 18 responses, but we've seen that the 67% says that they would look from the assessment tool to assess economic feasibility of the initiative, but then also to provide examples of similar initiatives. And that brings me to the second question that we had, which is, in order to assess economic feasibility of, let's say, an energy community, we need to be connected to how the energy market or the energy prices are in the specific country, in the specific area. So what are some, let's say, has this been integrated in your tools, and what are maybe some of the difficulties or challenges that you faced in that? Open question.
If I may just go ahead again.
Go ahead.
I find that a very big obstacle. So there's definitely a barrier when setting up energy communities, and not only perhaps the legal framework, which in our model we can bypass, but also the tariff setting and how to operate with the tariff setting, how to sell energy as a prosumer, for example, and in this case share energy, which tariffs to use, and even more so to really enter the energy market and be part of that energy market. We see that in Spain, we also see that in Turkey. It's a bit easier in Germany, that these different tariffs that are currently available, they're not always suitable or compatible with in a sense for an everyday sharing principle or a sharing system. This is really difficult, even for us, that we have designed a rather stable business model at this point. And we have a digital platform where we capture the real tariffs at the moment. But then at the time when consumers really use energy, and some of the energy comes from the energy utility, other energy comes from the prosumers, for example, then how to differentiate this energy flow, so to speak, and how to set accordingly the proper tariffs, and in this case appealing tariffs, makes really a challenge. This energy or the Ukraine crisis, in that sense, pumping up these energy prices, that makes it even harder for current energy communities to really be eager to understand this tariff system and to enter the tariff market. Makes it very, very difficult. And frankly, I think the only really solution is to bind or to set up some sort of a contract for prosumers, for consumers, possibly as in our model for the energy utility, where we can create a win-win-win situation, which means if we have to take energy from the outside, then of course we have to pay market tariff, market prices, but within the energy community we might be stable using our own tariff and bonus system.
Thank you, Hannes. It's a bit specific, I guess, very specific question, but that's also another sort of challenge that we've seen reviewing all the different tools that are there, is that you could either go and assess all the different aspects and then provide a bit more generic, let's say, guide or recommendation, where if you want to give a very specific recommendation, then you have to gather all the detailed information from the specific initiative, and then it becomes a bigger job and a bit more, let's say, of a consulting maybe job. And then the question is, where is the balance for the tools that are available through European projects? Because it's unrealistic to expect all these details from a tool that should cover multiple countries, no?
Absolutely.
I see Henrik nodding, but maybe you want to comment something? Yeah,
I mean, as I said earlier, the one-stop shops we are offering, of course, need to. So if you want to set up renewable energy communities, from our point of view, it makes only sense in country where there is a legislation. Of course, you can build tools to bypass it, to know how it could work. But if you really want to not to do run pilots or something, really working models, you need to have legislation. And for example, in Austria or Spain or so, there are they have the legal framework and the role of the electricity market, because that was a question, part of the question, is defined from our point of view, because the DSO needs to provide the energy sharing data between prosumers and consumers. And then you just need to have someone who is doing the accounting job, which is also not so easy, but it's possible. And as said earlier, the one-stop shop need to be focused on a given situation or country. Otherwise, it doesn't help the citizens accessing this platform.
Indeed. Thank you, Henry. And I'm gonna stop here with the questions. I thank you all very much. I think it's a bit, from my perspective, it's a bit of a challenging job, because indeed European projects are also research projects, and they should push the envelope, and they should work on things that might not yet be in the regulation, and we show how they could work. But in the end, also we need to develop tools that are applicable and that can be used right away and that people can understand. So thank you all. I think this was also a lot of information maybe for all of us, so it'll take some time to digest. But one thing that we have heard from all of you today as well is that how do we access those other people? You know, once we said, okay, we want to start an energy community, we know, let's say we know what our business model is, then the question is, how do we reach out to people? How do we get them into the energy community? And that's something that some of the tools that will be present, or the tools that we present in the next session, but also many others are looking into. So how to get people involved and motivated. And so I invite Sylvia, please, to join me and to introduce the next session. Thank you all very much for being here today and for participating and listening.
Thank you so much, Lucia, with such a nice prompt. I will then take over this last bit of this exciting journey, at least for today. As you heard, my name is Silvia Cellini. I'm working for eCREW, network of local governments that are devoted towards building a more sustainable, equitable and fair future. Together with our companion, Andrea, we'll learn new tools to gather information about what energy communities are and collective action, energy collective action more in general. Then we got introduced to a set of tools that can support in assessing the viability of our initial ideas, and what to do. And now that we know what to do and how to do it, it's then the moment to take action. So we just heard about the need and difficulty to get close to the local context, and I'm really pleased to introduce now this third round where a set of 7 new tools will be presented, tools that can support in getting people on board, exactly what Lucia was mentioning, and getting started with an energy community, keeping also in mind the very positive figures that Dimitri was sharing at the very beginning of this session of today, that says that a good number of people would actually join energy communities if there would be any in the surrounding. So kicking off is definitely a difficult part. Starting an energy community, but not less challenging is to sustain energy communities over time and to expand, to get to new stakeholder groups involved, and of course to avoid any rebound effect afterwards. So with no further ado, I will ask the first speaker of the suite to take control of the slide. This is Eleni Canello from the POWERPOOR project, to let us know a little bit how we can support the audience with your Energy Poverty Mitigation Toolkit. Eleni, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you all. So without any delay, I'm going to delve into the POWERPOOR Toolkit, the Energy Poverty Mitigation Toolkit, and how it can be used to enhance this whole action of energy communities and how Andrea can use it. So what we aim to do in the project is marry energy poverty with energy communities. So provide a solution to energy poverty through energy communities. That is why the tool has 3 different interfaces, the toolkit. The first one is the Power Target tool. And what can be done using the toolkit? Let's take it from Andrea. So Andrea is either a representative from a municipality, is either just a stakeholder that wants to make a difference in their community, or is working with an energy community or is a member of an energy community. And they want to give the chance to people that are facing energy poverty episodes or are energy poor to become prosumers, to alleviate the phenomenon by producing their own clean energy. So the first step is to identify the ones that are energy poor. So the Power Target tool uses a simple data-driven approach using qualitative and quantitative quantitative analysis of several indicators to figure out whether someone is energy poor. Then we have the Power Act tool that is really close with the Power Target tool, and it empowers the users to understand their energy consumption and proposes behavioral tips and tricks and small-scale, no-regret energy efficiency interventions that can help them escape the phenomenon, lower their bills, and lower their energy expenses. And the final tool, that is the one that is mostly oriented toward communities, is the Power Fund tool. There we have 2 different interfaces. The first one has to do with joint energy initiatives. So we have all the instructions that anyone may be needing in order to set up and operate an energy community. We have gathered, for instance, tools for online participation, and we have the business models available and all the instructions that may be needing. Of course, the instructions are only available for the 8 pilot countries that are within the POWERPOOR project, but of course, this only gives further motive for expansion across Europe. And we have an online marketplace for energy communities, meaning we have a map, and the energy communities that are active and are operating in different EU countries are displayed there, and people can reach out to the energy communities. On the other hand, within the same tool, we have instructions on how to use innovative financing schemes, for instance, crowdfunding campaign, in energy-related projects. So let's say that Andrea is just one citizen that uses all the previous tools mentioned and gathers all the people that want to be gathered, and they want to set up an energy community. They gather their own funds, but they don't have enough. What they can do, they can go to Power Fund and they can find instructions on how to set up a crowdfunding campaign. And of course, the POWERPOOR project and the toolkit have the energy poverty aspect into them, but the main point is tackling energy poverty through joint energy initiatives. Of course, some limitations can be considered within the toolkit. One of them is that we use an enhanced 10% indicator that is actually the well-established 10% indicator for assessing energy poverty, but we have enhanced it with qualitative indicators, taking into account issues as the cell of the building. And of course, some of the future developments would be to customize more across different EU countries, because what the issue we had when developing the tools was that all the different countries have vastly different characteristics when it comes to energy, especially when we're talking about southern of Europe or northern of Central Europe. And let's see an example. Here's an example of the tool. So what will be asked from Andrea or any other user, some information about the income, some information about the energy consumption, and some information about the heating consumption. And then the result is a classification assessing whether you are energy poor, at risk of energy poverty, or you're fine. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Shalini. Extremely interesting to hear, especially the first piece on really assessing whether someone is energy poor or not, which is something that maybe we take for granted. So I park this for the later discussion, and I take also the opportunity to remind all the people that are following on the line, please put all the question in the chat box or use the Slido. We will take it, of course, afterwards when the pitches are done. And with that, I thank Eleni and I invite the next speaker, Sebastian Zapata, to take control of the slide and tell us a little bit more about the e-market tool that has been developed by the BECoop project.
Thank you, Silvia. So, well, I will present now the e-market platform. This is other tool that we have developed in BECoop. The main goal of this tool is to put in contact different kind of stakeholders and to identify it and to facilitate the interaction between the stakeholders, just in order to promote bioenergy communities. So it works at the European level. So and right now, the more type of stakeholders inside of the platform, the easier to find out the stakeholder that better can help you. So what do you need at this moment is just only registration. In this case, in the previous tools, registration was optional. In this case, it should be done because we want to guarantee a professional use of the platform and the interaction between the different stakeholders. And well, that's all. So if you go to the platform, what you have two options to offer: what you can provide support to the other kind of stakeholder, or to post your necessity. I mean, what do you need? And there are some algorithms inside of on the market that recommend you some kind of stakeholder according to your necessity. So in the following months, also we will include a visual explanation of the interaction needed by the stakeholders. And also the tool is available and it's ready, but it's under development. So any feedback can be sent and we will take into consideration. So some example here of what you can find there is, for instance, imagine that Andrea wants to develop a community energy based on district heating. Well, in this case, I write down Zaragoza because we are from Circe. We are here. So, but she needs to find out an energy service company and biomass supply. So she can go to the market, and she has two options. The first one is to add an entry, and in this case, she will fill some issues on the local area, as for instance, which is the specific need and the kind of stakeholder that she is looking for. And after that, the tool, it will recommend some kind of stakeholders. Other option is when you go to the market, you have a list and you can filter. You can filter for the area, in this case, Spain, or even Zaragoza. If you want to be more specific, and you can filter also for the kind of stakeholder that you are looking. In this case, energy service company or biomass supply. And you can find out the companies that are yet registered in the tool and can provide this support to you, to your initiative. Other example could be, for instance, Andrea wants to join a renewable energy cooperative in Spain, and she wants to find out the renewable energy cooperatives in Spain. So she can go to do these applications, and she can see the renewable energy cooperatives in Spain that are registered in the market, just in order to contact with them. Also, they can. There is a message. There is a message platform, and they can interact with the people. So, well, this is mainly the market. I invite you to use it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. Maybe just one question to understand better the functioning. After registering, you access the space, you look what you need, and then would it be the user to take then contact via email or using the website of the interested parties, or is it the platform also giving the possibility to get in touch with the entries that have been made with the needs?
Yeah. You need to fill the basic information of your profile. It will be good to post if you are offering an offer, a service, or you need something. So, and after that, you can interact with all the stakeholders just to using the filters and whatever. And there is a contact information. There is always an email of each stakeholder, and you can write by email, or even you can write through the platform because it's a message.
All right. Well, very interesting to see how this is also for people that offer service as well as for the ones that are looking for support. So thank you for that. And we stay in BECoop, but we invite Yannis to take over control and presentation to let us know about the knowledge exchange platform. But maybe it's not BECoop.
Yeah. It is BECoop. It's the knowledge exchange platform. Thank you for the lead in, and thanks also to Sebastian. I will be presenting the knowledge exchange platform, which is also a part of BECoop, and essentially is the aspiration of this project to provide tools for eternity, for after the life and the duration of the project, where all the things that Sebastian presented today will be hosted at the knowledge exchange platform, which is at the same time a platform where the tools developed by ECREW, the self-assessment tool, the e-market environment, the toolkit will be hosted there. But in addition, there would be a platform that will bring together the various stakeholders and the value chain actors of bioenergy and community bioenergy in particular, to come together to share resources, exchange knowledge, and essentially validate what we have already done. Both the market environment and the self-assessment tool and the toolkit are tools provided on the web for people to evaluate and provide their assessment and their insights. So by the end of the project, this will be tested and trustworthy material for all potential bioenergy communities. I won't go into detail for the specific tools that already were presented by Sebastian, but I would just give you the landing page of the knowledge exchange platform. You can see the three basic tools: the e-market environment, the self-assessment tool, and the toolkit. And what is worth mentioning, especially about already there were some comments about the abundance of various tools and resources. What we actually do in the toolkit, we evaluate and we provide easier access and assessment of what there is there. By the end of the project, probably we'll be able to see if we have a system of evaluation by the various users, so they will assess the utility of the tools. Further to the tools presented by Sebastian, we have also an atlas of all bioenergy community cases you can find and identify in the map of Europe. This is a tool that will help people also to find a nearby bioenergy initiative, but also give the opportunity to register their initiative and look forward for people to join. At the same time, the knowledge exchange platform will be also offering a platform for exchange of knowledge among the various stakeholders and the value chain actors of bioenergy communities. In that respect, the validation activities of the project will take place within specific thematic groups, which will be hosted by a virtual platform, a platform that will be open to anyone through registration. The aspiration of the knowledge exchange platform is that by the end of the project, we will have there validated tools like the market environment, bringing together the various value chain actors of the bioenergy community, a series of tools created by other European projects. I had noted to say that we stand on the shoulders of giants in terms that there are so many things, good things have been developed, and it's very important not to dismiss their usefulness. And it is important to make sure that we have, in this particular case, a single point of meeting for the bioenergy heating community, which I think lacks for the time being. The BECoop knowledge exchange platform is online. I just put the specific URL, but also it would be online through the BECoop project website. Some of the resources require registration, some not. We wanted to make sure that we would provide the widest access possible to potential participants, either in the form of just learning or assessing or using tools, or by providing the opportunity to network and have access to resources. What is very important to mention is in the coming months, the 4 pilot regions of BECoop, where we're going to have the 4 pilot bioenergy communities developed, will use the knowledge exchange platform and will use the tool. So with this, it will be another opportunity to showcase on the web for everybody to see how this will be developed and inform the further the various tools that are already developed by our friends in Spain. I'll try to be very quick. I hope I didn't forget something. There is the focus: Spain, Italy, Greece, and Poland. 4 very different cases, especially in terms of legislation and policy approach. Just a personal comment, and I think this is my colleagues from BECoop would also agree. You don't need legislation can be helpful, can provide support, but it's not necessary to initiate community initiatives. You might find other kind of forms, or local government institutions can be of assistance. It is not something to start mourning. I mean, wherever you are, there will be always legislative or regulatory problems. Take the initiative, move forward. There are so many things we can do, and if we wait the legislators to catch up with reality, we will never be on time for the energy transition.
Thank you so much, Yannis, for these words of hope and encouragement. I will definitely pick a little bit up on this in the discussion afterwards. Just maybe one question you mentioned, this tool will also encompass these thematic groups, and I was just wondering how those groups works, meaning would those be open for anyone to participate, or it's just for experts, and how people that are interested could eventually then join?
Well, look, it's a combination of, there are 3 criteria to participate. We call it network of interest. You either have to be an expert, or have an interest, or be already a member of an energy community case. That means that you bring in either your interest, you want to learn, so you have questions, or you're an expert, you have knowledge, or you're a practitioner, so you have experience. So all are invited to join this network. And we'll see how they will match the various thematic groups as we go along.
Thank you so much. And I will then now ask the following speaker, Mona Beeling, to take stage and control of the slide, and to speak on behalf of the Decide project to present the Energy Community Vision Game and what does it entail. So Mona, the stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. So yeah, looking at the time, I will try to be very quick. And I will now present to you the Energy Community Vision Game that we developed within the Decide project. And I decided to put the screenshot or the little screen video of the game right at the beginning, because I think explaining it is very abstract, but seeing it is very intuitive. So basically the Energy Community Vision game is already available on the Decide website, and it's meant to having people depict or envision their vision of the energy community or energy transition in their local area that they can imagine doing. So basically, it's explaining very briefly to people that our energy transition is most successful together and citizens can now sell energy, and it's asking people, what is your vision of your local energy transition, by asking 4 questions: with whom they would participate, so what are the people they can imagine participating with, then how would they participate, so what role do they imagine taking, and then why they are in, so what would motivate them to be part of such an energy community, and what would they do. And as you can see, I will just go very quickly, it's very intuitive. So basically we make suggestions for every question, and then people can drag and drop icons that were created also within the Decide project and put them on this target. And by putting them on the target, they can prioritize and visualize how they imagine their energy vision to be like. So basically they can also group, for example, different actors, motivators, and roles together, and we can see what they imagine their energy transition in their local area to look like. Yeah, I think the video shows it pretty much. Of course, they can also add other suggestions. If they feel that something is missing, they can add it on the front. And in the end, you have a picture which displays what are the priorities of the people. So what motivators are very important to them, what motivators might not be as important to them, what kind of roles they see themselves in. And then that is used as a discussion prompt. So if Andrea asks, what can I use this game for? I'd answer that you can use it to really get a first impression of the visions that people, and also like potentially, for example, potentially new community members have. So to go on. Oh, that was a bit fast, sorry for that. So what can you use it for? It's to engage citizens, to engage local stakeholders, and also potentially new community members, and to learn more about the visions that people have about their local energy community or collective action or any kind of local energy transition they want to participate in. Also, it's for reflecting. So what is my own idea, or what are my own priorities in defining an energy transition in my local area? And the target users are therefore citizens, I'd say, local stakeholders, community members, and the key output would be for each and everyone this community vision. And this can be used as a discussion prompt and help to guide decision making and how to set up an energy community, for example. As I already said, the game focuses on visualization and prioritization of different actors, of roles, of motivators, and of implementations. And the benefits that we see from the game is that it's a very low threshold first step. So it's available on the website and you can play with it. It's very intuitive. It also it does not imply to have too much knowledge right from the beginning. So it is not only for experts, but it's really for people getting in touch with an energy community for the first time. Also, you get visualized results and you can then use it as a discussion prompt. For example, in our project, we already did it once where we used it for a workshop with local citizens, and then use it as a start to see what people imagine the energy transition in their community to be like. Yeah, it's also fun. I played it myself, and I can really recommend to do it because it's very easy, and it can be played both online and offline, which I think is also an asset. You could imagine, for example, printing out the icons and then give the people really the opportunity, if it's an in-person workshop, for example, to drag and drop them. The limitations that we see is that, of course, in the first step, it's an individual action, right? You describe only your vision, but therefore we see it as very important to have the possibility to compare and discuss to really make it something communal and collective. Also, it's not yet possible to make it context dependent, which means, of course, the icons are very broad. For example, they contain, actions that people can imagine doing would, for example, also be wind energy, but sometimes that might be difficult from a legal perspective. So that's, of course, everything is still, it displays everything. It's not yet possible to adapt it to the certain context. Future developments that we will have, and I think this is probably mainly interesting for research, is that we want to, because the game is programmed in SOSI survey, which is like a survey tool. And we want via Decide to have the source for the game open available. So that's an open source code that people can then also use and agilely replicate it or extend it to other icons or other suggestions, and also have another form of evaluation possible. But I guess that's mainly from a research perspective. If we come back to Andrea, I think Andrea would want to use this game mainly for getting like a first step with her community to see how do our visions align, what are the main actors that we see responsible in our local energy transition, and why are we in, what can we do? Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Mona. And I will invite now the following speaker from W4RES, Marlies Louvet, to take stage and introduce us to the gender capacity building activities that you are organizing. So please, Marlies, feel free to take control of the slides and the stage.
Thank you, and I hope you can see the same slides than me now. So our capacity building program is another aspect of our project Women for Renewable Energy. It aims to build capacity on gender mainstreaming and women empowerment and leadership in the renewable heating and cooling sector in Europe. We are targeting private sector mainly, including energy communities, of course, and to some extent decision makers. So we have two scopes for our program. We have first the seminars that have a regional focus of our 8 partner countries. Our seminars are built in a way that it's 2 half-days seminars organized in each partner countries. It's composed of 11 modules, mixing lectures on gender and energy nexus, benefits of a gender-just energy sector, and also gender barriers. It also provides some and introduce some tools and gender tools and instruments, and the participant will also practice them. We have also some experts that will share best practices and experience. And finally, the participant will also be able to practice the first step of a gender action plan for their sector. And then second level, we have the international audience with webinars that are also showcasing some of the modules of our seminars. Same concept, raising awareness, providing gender tools and instruments, and sharing best practices. So the participants are invited all along to share gender barriers they may have faced or witnesses during their life and careers, but also barriers and challenges they may face in the implementation of these gender tools and instruments that are introduced and practiced. As key output of our program, participants will have new gender skills. They will also receive a training package to bring home that contains a step-by-step toolkit on how to build a gender-just energy company or community, a gender glossary, FAQ also to guide you, and the sketch of gender action plan that have been started during the session for the sector. The limitation for the moment of our program is mainly for the seminars that have a geographical limitation, as they are targeting, as they will be organized in our partner countries, and also for the moment rather private sector and decision makers. As future development, we aim for participants to start to implement the new tools that are introduced. For those who are interested of following the seminars in the partner countries or the webinars, you can reach me in order to have the timeline, but they will of course be shared in our website and our social media. So as for Andrea, Andrea will participate in our seminars and our webinars as she wants to improve gender equality in her community, and she wants to attract more women in her community. And at the end of this capacity building program, she will be aware of existing gender inequalities, barriers, but also solutions on how to overcome them. and she will also have practice tools and be ready to implement them in our community with the help of the step-by-step toolkit. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlies. That's very interesting to hear indeed. And I will now ask the following speaker. We are heading toward the end, hoping to have still some time for a discussion. So I invite Johannes Latic to take stage and summarize the many tools that eCREW project is providing, and specifically the business model tool. So Johannes, the floor is yours.
Super, thank you very much. As I am not really sure if I have control of the slides, I hope you can help me, Sylvia. In a sense, finally, Andrea is obviously going to ask herself, so what do I need now for starting that energy community, or in this case, also for starting an eCREW business model, an eCREW energy community. And in this case, we have, we first need to look at the policy briefs. So for the national regulations, actually for the national opportunities and possibilities of establishing an energy community. For this, we have in our library on the homepage, we have some policy briefs already for Italy, for Greece, for Turkey. Austria is coming up, Germany is coming up as well pretty soon. And this would be just a good start to look at those, at the legal frameworks, at the opportunities, so to speak. Thereafter, I think it's very useful to use our enablers and barriers to just recognize what does it take and what do we need to establish these communities and to be successful at that. So Andrea at last would like to be, of course, a part of a successful energy community that is sustainable, that is long-lasting, and that actually works, rather than finding herself in more difficulties, perhaps, because or more issues that come up with energy sharing and with actually being a team member, a partner in this energy community. So enablers and barriers, and to focus on those. In addition, we have a wonderful tool, and in this case, we have a digital platform that actually helps to gauge energy consumption, to control where is the energy coming from and how much am I using, and how much also, of course, is it going to cost. With that, and those tools are all available already, again, on our homepage. And also, if you want to contact us, we can walk you through or give you some guidance in that sense. We also have a split incentive scheme, which is not yet available as a deliverable online, but is already established. We currently test it in our lighthouse communities, and here we also already have some experience. That means we can also share with you some best practices and lessons learned already. Something that is not yet available, but very interesting for prosumers who implemented or installed a PV panel, for example, on their roof, is at what time is a PV panel going to pay off? How much energy can be actually absorbed? How many for each household, for each prosumer household, how many consumers can I actually supply energy with? And in this case, actually, well, couple shared with in this case. That is very interesting, and we still are working on that. So that should be a tool that is available hopefully by at least November. And then we also will share with you an engagement report, how to connect within your energy community to the other consumers and prosumers. And currently we are presenting, or we are also establishing follower communities, which means that we have our lighthouse pilot sites, and based on those best practices and lessons learned, we provide to the follower communities all these all this knowledge, all these lessons learned in a sense, so that our follower communities can also develop their own crews and their own energy communities, hopefully very simple, very easy. Why? Because they have our tools on the one hand, and they also are aware of the enablers and the barriers. If you would like to hit the button one more time, Sylvia, I guess there should be another slide or another version, also an input in a sense for the energy utilities that are obviously a very important partner here, at least in our eCREW business model for energy communities. And they will also get some tools, namely a white book compendium. This is going to be available in a month. And this will explain the entire business model very much in detail. This is already including best practices in a sense, and will explain the entire business model. An additional CEO handbook is also planned that will be coming around November as well, which also gives not only the business model and and the use of our model in the different pilot sites, but it will also include already the first lessons learned from our follower communities. So it's really a factual CEO handbook for the energy utilities, so they know what they are about to get into, and how to establish a successful energy community based on the eCREW system. And again, here we have key performance indicators that we can focus on, that we can also finally measure, and we can share the best practices and the lessons learned. Here,
Thank you so much.
Certainly, that's fine. Last but not least, exactly, this is in a sense a good tool for you to use for energy utilities, but also for prosumers and consumers as an additional business model. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much. Apologies to put pressure. We have still 1, 2 to be introduced, but of course you have been producing a lot, so it's indeed interesting to hear the many angles that you have been looking at, providing support for users, but also utilities. And then last but not least, of course, EC2. I will invite Yuyin to take stage and to let us know a little bit more about this Energy Citizenship Academy.
Thank you, Sylvia, and hello everyone. I'm very honored to be the last project presenting. Can I get the next slide, please? So my name is Uy, and I'm an officer at ECREW Europe as well, and I'm here to represent the EC2 project and talk about our upcoming training program, which is called the Energy Citizenship Academy for now. And with this training, we aim to help you to become part of the energy citizenship movement. And this refers to the idea that people should be seen and treated as more than just passive consumers in the energy sector. And we see people as active agents that create the foundation for participate in and sustain a regenerative energy system. Can you see the slides still, or did it just disappear from me? Okay, they disappeared from someone else as well.
I'm trying to re-upload them.
Okay, well, I can keep talking then for now. So just saying that by using this perspective of energy citizenship, we can recognize and support the various roles that the people can play in energy communities, not only financially, materially, but also non-materially, politically and socially and so on. So we also call for responsibility from authorities who need to create structural opportunities and decrease the barriers for people to participate in energy transition, especially via and in energy communities. Yes, that's the right slide. Thank you. So yeah, building on top of this people-centric approach, our online training program helps you to improve the opportunities and to provide the needed support for people to take part of and also feel empowered in your energy community. So in brief, the Academy is an online capacity building program as well for people who are working with energy community and community energy in practice. So our target audience would those include energy communities, municipalities and other local authorities, but also engaged citizens and renewable energy industry actors. And the structure of the program will be modular, consisting of both general training modules and modules tailored to these different participant groups. And we also want to mix formats to have both self-paced learning and then interactive exchange. And the content is very much built on the research done in EC2 project, and you'll learn from experts in psychology, economics, law, and so on. And these tools, including a scale to measure energy citizenship in your community and digital tools to support the strengthening of these, and recommendations presented in the training are all co-created and tested in practice with our partner municipalities in the projects and energy communities in the project. So you'll learn also from these peers involved. And the research and co-creation work is actually currently active while the Academy is still under development, as you can see, which is why I don't have more concrete content to present yet, but I hope that I've managed to present you the guiding ideas and the aims of this training. So we will launch the program next spring, but there will already be more concrete promotion and registration information by the end of this year. And meanwhile, I'm happy to engage in conversations with all of you in the community energy initiatives and in order to design a training that would correspond to your needs. And hearing the presentations, questions and discussions here have already helped me to understand better what's out there and what type of capacity building is still needed in this field. Next slide, please. I just want to quickly summarize using Andrea's perspective to visualize the benefits of joining the Energy Citizenship Academy. So let's imagine that Andrea is an active member of an energy community that is otherwise doing good work, but there are some members who are more passive in the community and they don't feel so engaged in the energy transition work that the community is doing. And the community is also lacking in diversity of active members, and they face challenges in reaching out to different social groups. And Andrea wants to reach out to more women, youth, low-income households, and people with disabilities, and support them in joining and engaging with the community. So to do this, Andrea seeks ideas and guidance then from the Energy Citizenship Academy, where they can understand the support that is needed by these different social groups, and then access the tools that are available to support these people's inclusions and to create an energy community where people feel engaged, heard, and supported. And in addition, Andrea will also meet like-minded people across borders, since they are all part of the same learning community now. I could stop here and just say that to stay updated about the development of this training program and to learn more about energy citizenship, you can subscribe to EC2's newsletter, and I'll share the information in the newsletter as soon as more information is available. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yu-Yin, and thank you so much also for all the presenter of this last part. I'm sorry that we already ran out of time. It was extremely dense, extremely interesting. So much is happening. So I don't want to delay everything. It was so much in time until this very moment. I will give just back the floor to Marine for the short recap, Master of Ceremony. Marine, back to you.
Thanks, Sylvia. Yes, indeed. I didn't see any questions, so you have like 1 or 2 minutes to pop up questions in case you have remaining ones. First, admin conclusion is that we will gather the recording, upload it, gather also all presentations, upload them so that you can access them. And as I mentioned, we will develop in the next few days a briefing gathering all tools, information and links so that you are not lost and have to go through the chat again to find them. I'm very happy that this event took place. It took a while to organize. You might imagine with, as I said, nearly 20 speakers and tools, 9 projects, And I don't know if we really mentioned that, but these projects are all receiving funding from the European Commission. You could see the numbers at the bottom of the presentations. So I think it was important to acknowledge that. I took a few notes, but I also heard happily that all moderators gave a short conclusion after their sessions. We mentioned, of course, the energy prices rising and more inequalities rising as well, increasing the need for solutions to ensure social justice. Sorry. We had Dimitris presenting us some of the challenges and opportunities that energy communities face and bring. And one of the conclusions I could give is that we have the resources. We have mappings done by many projects. We have guidebooks and books. We have many tools, sometimes even doing a bit the same thing. So yeah, a growing amount of knowledge is here. We also have a growing amount of energy communities being developed, and this is good. What we mentioned is that energy literacy is one of the key steps, and I think that's what our projects can still focus on in the next few months, because some of them are still lasting for a few months. We have seen also that people take the matter into their hands, reclaim the power, but, and I think this was one question that we all, of course, have in mind as well, we have the challenge to ensure the right people use all the tools that we presented today. And I think it's a challenge for all of us, working in communications or in the research of these projects. We need to ensure that, and this is something I think we need to work even more on. And yeah, I would say that summarizes it a bit. I don't see any questions appearing, so I guess that's the concluding words.